Well, if you are PuppyPaw, you're playing the game, doesn't have to go that late. Definitely an aggressive player on the Mongols. And a player with a favorable matchup, it has to be said. Before we came in this series, he actually has 16 wins to 6 losses up against Luciferon. He has won 6 out of 8 of their matchups, a 75% win rate against Lucy. But as it stands, opening the series, he's the one trailing. PuppyPaw, can he turn it around?
Yeah, we see Luciferon going to be moving just the one villager out for that dock placement, so not going to be going for that 5 villager hull like you were suggesting earlier on. PuppyPaw, though, going to be building an Uvu and sending a villager out. So is he going for the dock now? This is an interesting play. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
It plays into Luciferon's hand, but like if you want to do fishing, you have to do it this way. You can't rush stables because you just won't have the eco, right? You have to choose. You'll be in a situation where you're building a dock and you're like, well, now I either can't afford horsemen or I can't afford fishing boats. So instead, PuppyPaw, I don't blame him for this. I think he's just like acknowledged that Luciferon has to get what he wants on the opening because it's way too much of kind of a coin flip to approach this otherwise.
Yeah. But Luciferon is going to have the advantage here when it comes to the first fishing ship coming out. But does PuppyPaw look to add in a stables behind this as well? It's going to cost him a lot of wood, and he's going to be stuck in that Dark Age for a lot longer than Luciferon is. But is it worth it?
What, to go for the aggro afterwards?
Yeah, to go for the stable play after going for this dock.
So delayed. Like, you know, if Luciferon's paranoid about it at all, he can just build an outpost and it's fine. And yes, some of you are correct. PuppyPaw is not winning. Canadian fans, half the copium. It's actually Luciferon who's a game up. As we just fixed that for you guys. And, oh, I think like the problem with the horseman player is like it's a finite timing. But whenever you go fishing, like you're disarming yourself. I think for PuppyPaw, he just shrugs and says, this is decided in feudal. Like, there's no way you commit to Dark Age like this now. I think it just puts you too far behind.
Yeah, I've got to agree. But English are going to be up. Well, I think they're currently up a fishing boat, ever so slightly. But not too much of a lead. You got to remember that the Uvu behind this is giving PuppyPaw lots of stone. And he's got a villager.
Oh, he's actually
going He's going for the stable.
But he got scouted.
Yeah, Luciferon expects something along these lines, and there it is, the stable being dropped down.
So Luciferon now knows, and he's already pushing men-at-arms. Interesting choice. So now PuppyPaw's choice to go into Horseman, it's more like a block to this play. So it makes it okay. If Lucy had just chosen to like build an outpost and rush Feudal Age, this is like not great for PuppyPaw. It feels pretty rough. But now we're just getting the natural flow, right? You do men-at-arms like a cheeky boy. I do horsemen like a cheeky boy. And you know, despite popular belief, like horsemen win. Because men-at-arms can't finish what they start, right? They're very slow. They're very clunky. And although they're more tanky than a horseman does have that fantastic option that's always worked through history, Merlin. Just walk away.
Retreat. Yeah. Yeah, so, but, I mean, luckily for Luciferon, he is going to be able to push onto PuppyPaw's barracks. And if he can just push onto his dock, sorry. But we see PuppyPaw's already got double production horsemen. I think he's got 2. 2 lots of double production horsemen. It's going to be very difficult for Luciferon to deal with that.
Well, Lucy just kind of got handled on this. He got spotted on the 1 men-at-arms. He stopped on 1 men-at-arms. He's now only going in for a second one on delay. I think this is looking pretty rough for Lucy. Like, it's kind of weird. I was expecting maybe, like, an outpost drop. But even then, like, what do you garrison the outpost with? A villager and a scout? Like, men-at-arms are too pricey. Man, this feels like the puzzling part for a lot of English players right now is, you know, this build, sometimes you just do it and it destroys on the water, right, to defend the water. Sometimes you're just left holding your junk in your hand. Like, you have no clue what to do with these crap tier units now. Like, these men-at-arms do nothing.
Yeah, I really feel like there was no need for this barracks play from Luciferon. He could have just stuck with the dock, maybe have got an outpost up. But it's just a waste of resources here. And we see Puppypaw is going to start to burn down that barracks.
And he has to, because he built 6 horsemen, and he's even building more. So he has to get value here. But this is annoying for Luciferon, because now what it does is it forces him to try and defend it. Now he's going for a council hall as well, so he knows it's going to be prolonged feudal. And what are the rest of those horsemen doing? Trying to take out the docks. Also an outpost play. Remember, Puppypaw's playing the Mongols, so he can't wall off that crossing. What he can do is make it sure as hell hard for Luciferon to ever get anything with fishing.
Yeah, Luciferon's really wanting to rush up that landmark there. Did have 7 villagers on there. Does pull away 2 for the gold. But Puppypaw going to be aging up behind this with the silver tree.
Love it.
So not actually that far behind from Luciferon. It's going to be the silver tree play.
And this is a manipulation
like
of matchup expectations, right? Like, he's already seen what Luciferon's going to do. He forced him to go early racks. Now he's going for council hall. You know what that says to me? Old men with walking sticks. Very slow-moving units. And Puppypaw is going into trade as a civ that has annoyed so many players with how busted it seems with the silver tree build on a map where he has flexibility to trade with either the north side or the south.
Yeah, we do have some nerfs coming in though for the Mongols, as now it costs 120 stone to double produce, as well as overall trade nerfs.
10%?
I think it's 10%, yeah, 10% gold reduction.
But it's still free. Well, not exactly free, but it feels free in this game because, like, Luciferon, anytime he pivots to, like, block one, you go the other. Like, something I haven't seen many Mongol players do so far is the opening here. I think the optimal one is to actually, if you don't feel like you want to take a fight, send traders to both the north and south side. And then pivot based on where your opponent blocks. I mean, that's fishing control gone. Like, Lucy, what was that, 6, 7 fishing boats?
Yeah. Puppypaw also gets that bounty, you got to remember. Always a nice little little bonus to get there.
And he's got 7 horsemen, so, like, if he wants, he can start poking at the racks to force Luciferon to react.
Yeah. Luciferon does already have 2 spearmen out, as well as the 2 men-at-arms. I think he should be able to defend that all right.
The problem of having a rack so far out, right? It's just like, unless you want to guard out here, away from network of castles, by the way, that's what makes this build feel even worse for Luciferon, is like, English are meant to be the best turtling civ in the game next to Chinese. Not so true when you're not near a TC or an outpost.
Puppypaw now adding in an archery range, going to be adding in some archers. As well as a galley to completely push off Luciferon from the water.
Trade on the way. So it has been scouted. Luciferon now knows. But what can he do about it? Slow army like this, unless he wants to go into horsemen, can be difficult. Looks like instead he's going into a ram to try and deal with that outpost issue. Like, he doesn't have the best military force, right? Like, honestly, Puppypaw's timing the archers might be good enough to just shut this down entirely.
Yeah, 100%. He's already got 4 archers out, another 1 in the queue, as well as more horsemen, though they may not be in the right position. Currently coming from the south side. But yeah, I think Puppypaw should be able to hold this.
Wait, this dock is aggressively built. Now, longbows can outrange on the archer ship slightly. But you got to play it right. You got to skirt it right. Right now, those longbows are distracted, so the horsemen trying to wrap in, just poke away at that ram. This archer ship, not really finding great bang for buck. Partially RNG and partially like, the choice of targets. The horsemen committed to get rid of the ram. Frontline gone for Luciferon as well. The fact that he just used horsemen to body that fight is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the archer ship there just sort of bought time, distracting the longbows away from the horsemen while they take out that ram. And now that tower's just going to be able to take out the rest of the units there.
Is it me or did the outpost like send a second volley of arrows into a dead guy?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Just to make sure it's dead.
Oh, man.
Ooh, bit of a siege tower coming out right there from Luciferon. Does get cancelled, though.
Yeah, I find if you want to BM your opponent, at least be winning is a good piece of advice.
Yeah. Siege tower in a no stone wall rule set.
Which I'm fine with, but like I said, be winning if you're going to do it. Oh, no, Luciferon. Worst case situation. He opens with a galley ship. Surprising considering Puppypaw was already this far ahead. The Springwood ship just counters him. You can't even build this anymore. He has to abort and back away.
Demo ship coming in from PuppyPaw behind this as well.
I don't...
Those fishing ships for Luciferon, they're not looking too happy at the moment.
I'm really surprised by Luciferon's choice to go for a galley ship to open. Maybe he was paranoid about a boom ship. That's the only thing I can think here. Because he already has longbows that can kind of tickle and flirt from afar. He just needs a strong ship on the waterfront.
And Luciferon at the moment.
Oh, no.
Look at the amount of wood he's floating.
Sir? Kind sir.
Oh, no.
That's one horseman on a mission of butchery. Mission accomplished.
This really isn't looking too pretty for Luciferon right now. Look at the wood he's floating. He's now moved all of his villagers over to gold and food. I think he might be looking for a bit of a castle age now. But behind this, PuppyPaw's got such an economic lead when it comes to water, when it comes to trade, when it comes to villagers. I really don't see a way Luciferon can deal with this.
No.
He's trying his best right now with a ram, but
also,
yeah.
Remember, the fishing hasn't really been working, right? Because like there's not many shoreline fish on the outskirts, if any. Right? He maybe had one. I think he might have been fishing. But between that, I think there's a lot of idle time for these boats. Like he's just miles behind right now. And just look at the military count. That's my biggest concern here. Sure, some of that is in Navy, but a lot of that is actually on land for PuppyPaw. And while one side does not have his attack speed buff, the other has a situational one with that arrow. Just makes it hard for Lucy to take consistent trades.
Galley coming out for Luciferon though. Able to get some area of effect damage.
But why?
Yeah, Springle ship for PuppyPaw. Still there. Hasn't learned from last time.
So I think the thought process from Luciferon, like to kind of explain the Springle ship not being there, is like there is an outpost, right? So like the galley is at least handy for land warfare compared to a Springle ship because you got that damage saturation. So it's just him trying to like get something out of water. But so far, like, while it's a cute idea, I would rather he just built like 4 or 5 extra longbows because I don't actually think these archer ships have done much. Meanwhile,
taking out so many villagers.
Speaking of
how
things
many
that done
villagers
much,
have died here?
it's best, like, honestly, you know what happens is, like, the guards that weren't guarding come by, and they just, like, kick the corpses into the river before anyone new shows up, right? It's like, when the villagers get there, like, here, put on these clothes, like, why is this covered in blood? It's like, it's not blood, it's camouflage, so that if the enemy comes, you can hide in the bushes. Wink.
Exactly. But PuppyPaw are now going to be aging up with the step redoubt. They're not looking too good for Luciferon here. I mean, he's still behind when it comes to military, economically, and now he's about to be a whole age behind.
I think, like, you just call this. Like, once that tech up completes, like, yeah. You can't fish. Don't be deceived. These fishing boats, like, they are true Englishmen. They have been taking a coffee break every 15 minutes. But, like, 15 minutes in-game time. So that's, like, you know, every 5 seconds. Actually, I think it's less than that. Because technically, like, if we just went from Dark Age to Castle Age in 13 minutes... And, yeah, no one wants to figure out how you stretch that across, like, real time. Just go next game. GG gets called. Luciferon, although he got an early win in this series, PuppyPaw just looked in complete control of the second one.
Yeah. Really, really well played right there by PuppyPaw. I mean, he just had a lead absolutely everywhere.
It's kind of tough to see a way for Lucy to get back in this game after 4 minutes, I think. I think I mentioned, like, the pre-game that this could be, like, 4 minutes either way. And you see it, right? It's like, the rack seems nice, and the idea of proxy rack seems cool.